Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Welcome to our first episode of Left Field Friday. Hope you got your top 5 favorite movies all in a nice pretty list, ready to go for me. Just getting things squared away here, some last minute technical things. Good evening. Welcome on in, everybody. It's the Theological Coordinator coming at you. Like I said, for the first ever episode of Left Field Friday. How's everybody's week been? Mine's been pretty decent, not too shabby. I had a lot of stuff going on this week, keeping myself busy. The days sometimes, especially during these times, are getting a little bleeding into one another. So I look forward to Fridays a lot. It's pretty cool. I'm having some interesting technical difficulties here. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting some feedback here. I don't know why. Let me try and figure this out here. I can't figure out why. I got some feedback in my ears. That's okay. I'm just going to take off my headphones. All right. The fun of broadcasting from your own room. Anyhow, so welcome on in. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight. I've got my top 5 favorite movies ready to share with y'all. That's what tonight's going to be all about. What are your top favorite movies of all time? So here's what I want to do. Instead of like rattling them all off at once, I would like to have we'll go one at a time. So like we'll start at number 5, and then everybody type in the chat what their number 5 favorite movie of all time is, and we'll just work our way backwards to number 1, which is your favorite movie of all time. So that's what we'll do. Some of my top 5 movies might shock some of you. What didn't make the cut of my top 5 might also shock you. I'm also prepared to tell you some of the movies that almost made the top 5. And I'm also prepared to share with you the top 5 worst movies I've ever seen. And again, these are just my opinion. It's all about having a good time. It's all about having fun, right? We've all got our different likes and dislikes and tastes and distastes when it comes to movies and music and such. So, we're gonna have some fun with this. So please interact. I don't want to be the only one who's sharing information here. It's part of the fun. I did have someone earlier today message me theirs because they weren't sure if they were going to be able to be on the stream tonight. So I have theirs. I won't say who they are, but I was basically given permission to share what their top 5 list was, so that'll be fun. Anyhow, so here's what I want to do. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start at number 5, and those of you who are watching, if you want to, type in your number 5 favorite movie of all time. And while you're doing that, I will share with you what my number 5 favorite movie of all time is. Here we go. Number 5, Rudy. Yes, Rudy. My number 5 favorite movie of all time. And there's a whole lot of reasons why this movie is my favorite. If you've never heard of this movie, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Surprise, it's a football movie. But it's based on a real life story about a young man that went on to play football, or at least be part of the football program at Notre Dame. It's just a fascinating movie. So many incredible life lessons and messages in this movie about, having a dream and having a goal and never giving up on your dreams, never giving up on your goals, never taking no for an answer. It's just phenomenal. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie, but literally every time I watch this movie, I just bawl my eyes out. So for those of you out there who have never seen this movie, I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it is a fantastic movie. It stars Sean Astin, who is probably the most famous for being the main kid in the movie Goonies. He played Mikey when he was a little kid in Goonies. He's also famous for playing Samwise Gamgee in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Mr. Frodo! Yeah. So anyway, it stars Sean Astin as Rudy, and just phenomenal movie. So yeah, I highly recommend that movie. And even though the context of the movie is football, it's a really great family movie. Let's see. My wife says that her number 5 favorite movie of all time is Bambi. That is a great movie too. Our family is a huge Disney family. So that's a pretty special movie. Hey, sweetheart, do you want to explain to everybody why it is that Bambi is your favorite movie of all time? I know why it is, but I don't want to rob you of your joy. I don't want to steal your thunder. Yep, you love the animation. That's exactly it. It's a great visual movie. There's one. Yep, I was just gonna say there's one particular scene in that's close to the beginning of the movie, with the rain sequence. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, considering that it was actually drawn by hand, it's pretty phenomenal. That movie was made long before CGI and things like that. It's a great movie. We watch that occasionally from time to time. It's one of those movies that's good to sit down and have a cup of coffee or pop some popcorn with your family, especially when it's kind of a cold evening or whatever. I remember the first time I saw Bambi. It was part of a double feature at the drive-in theater. My family went to the movies that night at the drive-in. I think it was the old drive-in out there on Aurora, which turned into Sam's Club. that piece of property. So the person that messaged me their top 5, they said that their number 5 favorite movie of all time was the Godfather series. So that's a tough one because that's technically 3 movies. So I would say, which of those 3 Godfather movies is your favorite of the 3? I know which of the 3 is my least favorite, and that would be the third one. Why? Because you pretty much know what's going to happen at the end of the movie, within the first 15 minutes of the movie. So it's very disappointing in that regard. And so much time had passed in the narrative of the Godfather trilogy between number 2 and number 3 that it was almost hard to believe some of it. Some of the main characters were just little kids in the second Godfather movie, and then here in the third Godfather movie, they're like, full-fledged adults. And, it's kind of like soap operas. 1 minute they're kids and the next minute they're 35 and married. It was kind of hard. But anyhow, so really my favorite between those two in those trilogy would be a toss-up between the first and the second one, and that's tough. I think depending on who your favorite actors are would determine whether the first one was your favorite over the second one or vice versa. I think I would probably lead towards the second one because of how they bounce back and forth in time, and they show the different generations of the Corleone family. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, everyone else is being bashful. No one else is typing theirs in there, so we'll move on then. So I will give you my number 4 favorite movie of all time. Are you ready? Is the suspense killing you? Here it comes. Coming in at number 4, The Matrix. Ooh, some of you out there cringing. Some of you out there going, how in the world could you like that movie? It's so weird. It's so crazy. Well, I will explain to you why I like that movie. And in my personal opinion, when it comes to the Matrix franchise, they probably should have just stopped after the first one. I think that what confuses the Matrix movies is not the first one, it's the second and third one. To this day, if I do a marathon and watch all 3 of the Matrix movies, and that's actually including the 4th installation, which is called the Animatrix, which is a bunch of little shorts that fill in the gaps in between, I believe, just the second and third movie. But when the Wachowski brothers made the first Matrix movie, it was so groundbreaking. They invented what's known now as bullet time photography. The infamous scene of Neo laying back in slow motion and how the camera spins around, or the scene where Trinity jumps up in the air to do a crane kick and the camera freezes and spins around. They invented that technology when making that movie. And I'm not a cinematographer by any stretch of the imagination, but that just pulled me in. That whole thing just pulled me in, first of all. And second of all, because I'm a theology guy, hence the name of the channel, the Wachowski brothers were just pure geniuses when writing the storyline, because there are so many religious metaphors just sprinkled throughout that entire series, let alone the first movie alone. And if you've never seen The Matrix, it's rated R, and because of violence. It's a violent movie, but I kind of have this measuring stick that I use when it comes to whether or not a movie is too violent for me or age appropriate or whatever. A lot of us have allowed our children to watch like the Harry Potter movies or the Lord of the Rings movies or the Marvel movies, and those are all just full of violence, and those were all rated PG-13. So if you can think about, if you've seen the Harry Potter movies, if you've seen the Lord of the Rings movies, if you've seen the Marvel movies, and you can think about the violence that's contained in those movies, in my opinion, the violence in The Matrix is way less than that. It's just kind of a dark movie, and there are points where it just kind of hurts your brain. You got to think a little too hard. So, but yeah, The Matrix, it's amazing. It's one of my favorites. At least once, if not twice a year, I will do a marathon and watch the franchise. I just love it. So yeah, let's see here. Oh, my wife says that her number 4 favorite movie of all time is Forrest Gump. What a great movie! Fabulous movie. Um, one of my favorites of Tom Hanks for sure. And he's done a lot of really great movies. Forrest Gump, great movie. You know, it's funny because I'm not really much of a history guy, but to make that movie and in the way that Zemeckis made that movie with Forrest Gump's character um, intertwined with history was pretty cool. Um, I can honestly tell you that every time I watch that movie, I am still glued to the screen. I can't stop watching it. It is such a great movie. It's got comedy, it's got drama. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. Um, the cast is phenomenal. Um, it's Tom Hanks, Gary Sinise, Lieutenant Dan. Um, oh, just great movie. Great movie. Good call, baby. Great movie. That should probably go in my almost made the cut for my top 5. That is a really great movie. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. My buddy that sent me theirs says that their number 4 favorite movie of all time is the Star Wars series. So we're doing series according to this guy. Okay, well, that's another difficult one. Star Wars series. Okay, so we're talking potentially 9 movies here, right? Actually, we're talking 12. 11? 12. Because you got Rogue One and Solo. Yeah, so you got 11 movies in the Star Wars franchise. So are you talking all 11 movies? Are you talking all 9 movies? Are you talking the original trilogy, which are episodes 4, 5, and 6? Are you talking the first 6 movies? Are you talking on which movie are you talking about? Right, that's a tough one. There's a lot of bittersweet feelings with Star Wars fans over some of the latest installations. Um, I can only speak for myself and tell you that of the Star Wars movies, my favorite one is Episode 5, also known as The Empire Strikes Back. And ironically, George Lucas didn't direct that one. Food for thought. Anyhow, yeah, that was like the franchise page or they turned a corner, and had everybody going, oh my gosh. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody out there that's not seen those movies, but there's a big, huge plot twist towards the end of Empire Strikes Back, and and I remember when the prequels were coming out, and our youngest kids hadn't seen the original trilogy yet, episodes 4, 5, and 6. When we took them to the theaters to see, I think it was episode 3. Yeah, I think it was episode 3. Our youngest daughter, Audrey, figured out the plot twist. And she hadn't seen Empire Strikes Back yet, which has the plot twist. And like I said, I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it. It's hard for me to believe that there's still people out there that haven't seen the Star Wars movies, but I'm respecting you. Yeah, we wanted the kids to watch 4, 5, and 6 first, just like we did. Yep, exactly right. So, but that's a good choice, man, for number 4 to pick the Star Wars series. Certainly, there's a lot of hours of time in there to spend with some great entertainment. So, um, you know, It's definitely good stuff. Definitely good stuff. All right, well, let's move on. Number 3 favorite movie of all time for me. And this one might come as a little surprise to some of you. Lucas. And I would venture a guess that a lot of you have probably never even heard of this movie. This is a movie from the 80s. It stars Corey Haim and Charlie Sheen and the girl from the Goonies, whose name I can never remember. She played... now I can't remember her name in the Goonies. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about Lucas. But anyway, it's an incredible movie. It's very dramatic. It's about a kid who's small and into bugs. He collects bugs. And so right out of the gate, in the American public high school system, you can guess that's kind of not a recipe for a positive experience. But it's just an incredible story. The cast, I think Winona Ryder's in it also. I really can't explain every gory detail about this movie without giving away too much of the plot. But the redemption that takes place at the end of this movie will have you crying buckets of tears. Still, to this day, man, I just weep like a baby when I watch this movie. It's phenomenal. So I highly recommend it. It's a good family movie. But it's PG-13. There's language. There's some content that's a little adult. But there are themes like bullying and popularity and stereotypes, and it's a really great movie. And I think that the theme of the movie is about breaking down social barriers and just loving each other in spite of our differences, or maybe because of our differences. So yeah, it's an outstanding movie, phenomenal movie. So that's my number 3 favorite movie of all time. What else we got here? Anthony says, let's talk about Star Wars. We could talk about Star Wars. What you got? What you want to talk about Star Wars? Be nice. Remember, it's a family channel. Let me know what you want to talk about Star Wars. Let's talk about it for real. In the meantime, let me read what this other person told me was their number 3, the Lord of the Rings series. Once again, another series. Okay, that's awesome. And you know what? There's reasons why none of the Lord of the Rings movies made my top 5. Oh, I just gave it away. That Lord of the Rings movies didn't make the top 5. I still got 2 more to tell you about. But anyway, there's a reason why they didn't make it. And that's simply because of book-to-screen adaptation. The Lord of the Rings novels are classics. And don't misunderstand me. I was literally thrilled to death to see that those were being made into feature films. And, and I am embarrassed to admit that I have, over the years, personally owned 4 different versions of those movies. The 4th one being the last one, which is the full set with the extended versions and all the commentaries in it. That's how much I pretty much nerd out over Lord of the Rings. It's that good. Peter Jackson did a phenomenal job on the Lord of the Rings movies. I'm not going to lie. But since it's the top 5 favorite movies, so we look at that Lord of the Rings trilogy and we go, okay, which of those 3 stands out? So again, my opinion, I think that Return of the King is my favorite of those 3. Mainly because of the redemption of the story. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But anyhow, those are all good movies. Great stuff. Great stuff. Let's see. Oh, yes, my wife. She says that her number 3 favorite movie of all time is Lady in the Water. And that, man, that is another great movie. If you've never heard of this movie, it's an M. Night movie. M. Night did Sixth Sense. He did what has now been called the Unbreakable trilogy. So that's Unbreakable, Split, Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. That's the trilogy. So he did all of those. The Village. Anyway, Lady in the Water. Very, very, very different movie. Based on a bedtime story that he wrote and read to his children when they were little. It's kind of a mythological story played out in modern times. The cast is phenomenal. It stars Paul Giamatti. Just it's different, but man, it's such a great movie, Lady in the Water. Yes, exactly. What my wife is saying. She says, I like Lady in the Water because it has all these odd characters that come together and find their purpose. And it really is a great movie. It is a great movie for expressing that metaphor about how everybody serves a purpose. We're all here for a reason. And if we just get out of our own way and realize our potential and what we bring to the table, how what we bring to the table benefits others, and how it all works together. Phenomenal. So yeah, that's a great movie. Really great movie. Let's see here. All right, well, I guess we will move on to my number 2 favorite movie of all time. I know the suspense is killing you all, isn't it? All right, you ready? You ready? You ready? Here it comes. JFK. I like me a good conspiracy theory movie. Like I said earlier, I'm not much of a history guy, but there are certain things about world history that I am very much interested in, and one of them just happens to be the Kennedy assassination. JFK is a phenomenal movie. It's a long one. I believe it's about 3 hours and 10 minutes long or something like that. Unless you own the director's cut, which I have, which has an additional 17 minutes of footage in it. Because I just can't get enough of it. This is another one of those movies that when you're having one of those days, one of those kind of days, and you can tolerate a little bit of bad language, and it's history, I highly recommend watching this movie. I have a lot, even prior to watching this movie, I want to say it came out in like 91 or 92, 90, 91, 92, somewhere in there. It's an Oliver Stone movie. It's based on a book called Rush to Judgment. A lot of the material that Oliver Stone put in this movie is conjecture. And unfortunately, those extra 17 minutes of footage that show up in the director's cut are all factual. So I don't know why he cut that stuff out of the theatrical version. Because there's some important stuff in the bonus footage. But anyhow, the cast is just unbelievable. You got Kevin Costner, you got Joe Pesci, you got Tommy Lee Jones, Kevin Bacon. I can't think of them all now off the top of my head. I should have written them all down. But I love it so much. It's almost my number one favorite movie of all time. Um, Now, I'm not saying that I'm the perfect and most correct movie critic, but like I said, if you can sit there for 3 hours and you can tolerate a little bad language, I highly recommend this movie. I highly recommend this movie. And again, there's a I would say that probably 75 to 80% of what is contained in the theatrical release is actually based on facts. So it'll definitely get you thinking. Because if you're like me, you already have a hard enough time believing that one person pulled that whole thing off. So that's all I'm going to say. So let's see what else we got here. My other contributor says that their number 2 movie of all time is The Neverending Story. That is another great movie. And it would almost be classified as probably an indie movie. Because it's kind of got a cult following behind it. There aren't a lot of folks that are familiar with this movie, or let alone have seen this movie. It came out in the early 80s, I want to say, like 83, 84-ish. I believe that Jim Henson was involved in that project as well with some of the animatronics. It's a fantasy movie. But it's PG. It's a good family movie. Another anti-bullying kind of movie. They absolutely ruined what could have been a great franchise by making not one but 2 more sequels. They should have just left it alone, in my opinion. But Neverending Story, the theme song, it's one of those songs that you hear it once and it's stuck in your head for weeks to come. If you're a fan of the show Stranger Things, there's a great scene in one of the episodes from the last season where they revive the Neverending Story song. It caused a movement, I think, in America because of it. So yeah, that's another great movie. Let's see what else we got. Oh, my wife, number 2, Office Space. Now, we've had this discussion before about this movie. Office Space. Is it considered a rom-com? A romantic comedy? I really don't know. There's not any romance. There's a lot of comedy. And little tidbit of insight into Heath Brady's movie tastes. I do not like comedies. I am a hard sell on comedies, but I do like a good rom-com. Yes, you heard it here. The theological coordinator likes a good romantic comedy. Not gonna lie. Serendipity, rip my guts out. Yeah. But yeah, Office Space. Up until my current profession, I have never been an office guy. So I've been a blue collar type guy. I've been a warehouse guy, a delivery guy. I worked in restaurants. So watching that movie, I want to say I've probably seen it 3 times, and I can tell you that the first time I saw it, I didn't get most of the humor at all because I've never had to share a cubicle with somebody. I've never had to fight over the copy machine with somebody. But now I watch that movie and I get it. I get some of the humor. It's a pretty funny movie. And I know, man, it's my wife loves that movie. So yeah, it's a great movie. Great movie. I don't disagree at all. What else we got here? Let me check out the chat here for a second. Ooh, Bri, Age of Adeline. You know what? I have not seen that movie. But my daughter Emma has, and she told me I would love it. So I'm going to have to check that one out. I'm going to have to make a note. You know what? I'm going to write that down right now. I'm familiar with that movie. And that movie is, I think, from what I've seen in the previews, kind of right up my alley. So, I'm gonna have to check that one out. Uh, oh, Andrea, did that movie make your top five, or are we gonna make that a close six? Are we going backwards? She just typed in the chat, I forgot one of my other favorites, The Usual Suspects. Oh man, you know what? I forgot about that movie. Yeah, let's make it number six. We're gonna cheat. We're top six movies favorite of all time. Oh man, Usual Suspects. But here's the unfortunate thing about that movie, The Usual Suspects. It's one of those movies that you really can only watch once, because you know how it ends. So really, if you're gonna watch it again, you have to be committed to the cast and all of the aspects that went into making that movie. And I'm not going to lie, that movie's got an incredible cast. The main actor in the movie, of course, is under heavy scrutiny in the world right now. So I don't know how many people are loving on Kevin Spacey these days. But, okay, Molly. I won't say nothing more. I haven't seen it. I won't say nothing more. Okay. Oh yeah, Bri, if you own it, yeah, you could drop that off for me. I'll definitely take a look at it. That would be great. Anthony, favorite Star Wars movie. Let's talk about. You want to talk about that favorite Star Wars movie? I already said my favorite Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. Now you asking me to explain why, or do you want to tell me what yours is? Either way, let's chat. I'm cool with that. All right, what are we on? We just finished number 2. Are we ready for number 1? Are we ready for number 1? I don't know. Are we ready for number 1? If you're ready for number 1, let me know. I'm kind of nervous to share with y'all what my number 1. Hey, what's up, May? Good to see you. I'm kind of nervous about this one because I feel like I'm gonna get some flack for this one. So I'm gonna take my time here in announcing it. My co-conspirator that sent in their list told me that their number 1 favorite movie of all time is The Birds. That's a Hitchcock film, if I remember correctly. It's before my time. I am not old enough to have had the honor and privilege of seeing that in the theaters. But I have seen it on video, and I have seen it once. I do not remember a whole lot about that movie, except the fact that it was incredibly scary and suspenseful. So chances are, I probably liked it because I like scary movies, but I don't know. I have to go back and watch it again. But to say that that's your favorite movie, that's got to be good. And because I know that's because I know who this person is that said that was the number 1, I'm gonna say that it's got to be good. So I'll make a note of that one as well to watch that. Because I like movies, and I like watching new movies that are recommended to me by other people. Hey, Mommy. Welcome into the stream. Good to see you. Mwah. Love you. That's my mother-in-law in the chat. Love her to pieces. Molly says, Matt's favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi. Yeah, it's good, too. I mean, it really is. And I will tell you, with Return of the Jedi, they kind of ruined it, in my opinion, with the new additions that they made, the changes that they made to the original Return of the Jedi, if you follow me, because of certain scenes towards the end of Return of the Jedi in the newer versions of Return of the Jedi, especially at the end. You have a different Anakin. You have a different song. And I'm a technical guy with that stuff, right? So like everybody's dancing, and the rhythm of the song doesn't match the rhythm of the dancing, and that bothers me. I know I'm weird, but that stuff just bothers me. Yeah, my wife said you should all type in your number one or number two favorite movies. Because I'm about ready to share with you what my number one movie is, and I'm nervous. All right, here it goes. You ready? Y'all ready? You probably won't be surprised. I don't know. You probably won't be surprised, but maybe you will. I don't know. Here we go. You ready? Here it comes. Peter Pan. It's my favorite movie of all time. Now, let me tell you a little something. I remember seeing this movie for the very first time in the old Aurora cinemas up there next to Farrell's off of 130th and Aurora. And I think I want to say I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. I was pretty young. I might have even been 3. I was pretty little. And it just stuck with me at a very, very little young age what the theme of that movie is. And really it's all about how you don't have to grow up. Like you don't have to lose your childlike innocence. You don't have to, I mean, we all have to grow up. We all have to mature. We all have to become responsible, respectable humans as we become adults. But if we lose sight of what's fun in life, and that's what I'm talking about. If we lose sight of our youthfulness, then we lose a lot of joy. And there's a lot of hidden messages in that movie as well. But now here's the thing. So that's my favorite movie of all time. I remember seeing the play, the Broadway play. I saw it live at the Paramount when I was a kid. I watched it on television. There have been many spin-offs. Hook was a sequel that Spielberg made, which I also love very, very much with the late great Robin Williams. But in the mid 90s, Disney Studios produced what my family refers to as the real person Peter Pan. And I'm going to say that version is tied for first for my all-time favorite movies for 2 reasons. 1, because it's Peter Pan, and 2, it's a lot more closely aligned with the actual book. I highly recommend it. It's just such a great family movie. So yeah, Peter Pan, my number 1 favorite movie of all time. I've got swag from Disneyland. And I was half tempted to wear it, but then I figured I'd give it away. I've got some Peter Pan swag, but I didn't want to give it away, so I'm not wearing it. Maybe in a future stream, I'll share that with you. But anyhow, that's my favorite movie of all time. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see here. Oh my, okay. Anthony, your number 1 favorite movie of all time is Empire Strikes Back. There you go. Nice. Number 2, Back to the Future. Oh, I don't know, man. All of them? That's a tough one. I'm not a big fan of number 3. Not a big fan of number 3. But, they had to tie it off. They had to make a 3rd one, so I get it. It was cool that they went way, way back in time. And for the most part, they kept it linear with actors and actresses, but I I don't know. The original one, the first one's my favorite. Got the shirt and all. But no, that's good film. That's good stuff. All right, what else we got? Bry says, I'm gonna be honest. I also cried when I watched King Kong. Which version? There's several versions. I'm assuming that you're talking about the Peter Jackson version, the most recent version of that, and that's also phenomenally well done. That's a great movie too. Incredible cast: Jack Black, Andy Serkis, who is the phenomenal motion capture actor from The Lord of the Rings, where he played Gollum. He also did the motion capture for King Kong, as well as actually acting in the film too. As I think he was like one of the cooks or something, if I remember right. Yeah, my wife likes the live action version best. Yeah, it's so good. Hey Molly, don't be embarrassed about not knowing that there was a book. A lot of people don't know that there is a book. A lot of people believe or think, I shouldn't say believe. A lot of people think that Peter Pan was a Walt Disney thing. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. The animated film is definitely based on a lot of the material in the book. The book gets a little dark in a couple places, but it's a page turner. It's a pretty decent book. Anyhow, let's see what else we got. Well, let's see. We did that one. Who else has got my wife. Her favorite movie of all time. It's a Wonderful Life. We watch that movie every year at Christmas time, and I am embarrassed to admit that until my wife and I were married, I had never seen that movie. I had never had a desire to see that movie. And I didn't know what I was missing. That movie is amazing. Amazing. And let me just talk to all of you boyfriends and husbands out there for a moment, if I may. Just as a little side note, let me get a little theological coordinator for you here. You want to show your lady how much you love her? Sit down and watch It's a Wonderful Life with her. And if you can't sit there and sit through that whole entire movie and get a little choked up, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm just saying. It's such a great movie. Such a great movie. Yeah, honey, there's that one scene that we talk about every year. Oh gosh, this scene just drags on a little too long. But, it's 5 minutes of an incredible piece of film. So yeah, it's a great movie. It really, really is a great movie. And in fact, I like it so much that every year we watch it, I'm like, are we going to watch the colorized version or the original black and white? Because, you want to be true, but at the same time, I'd rather see it in color. So yeah, we have this fun little back and forth about that. So yeah, that's my top 5. Number 5, Rudy. Number 4, The Matrix. Number 3, Lucas. Number 2, JFK. And number 1, Peter Pan. Now, just for a little bit of extra additional fun, let me share with you 5 movies that didn't make the top 5, but are probably top 10. Yeah, I will say that they're top 10. Yeah. This one didn't make the cut, but it's definitely one of my favorites. Goonies. Love, love, love this movie. I just recently read that they are in the process of still working on a sequel with the original cast. Spielberg's involved. I don't know if Richard Donner's involved. He was the director of the original movie. Um, but I know that they've been talking about it for a long time. But that movie's phenomenal. Especially if you're an '80s brat like me, it's classic. Um, yeah, such a great movie. Um, it's just a fun movie. It's one of those generational movies that you'll sit down and watch it with your kids, and they'll watch it with their kids. And anyway, I'm rambling about it now, but yeah, I love it. Here's another one that I love. It's probably at number 9. This might shock you a little bit. Thor Ragnarok. I don't think I spelled that right, but you get the point. Yeah, I'm a Superman guy, and a Marvel movie made my top 10. This movie, of all the Marvel movies, this is the one that to me has the most all around balance of entertainment. There's drama, there's comedy, there's suspense, there's violence, there's redemption. I mean, it's just such a great movie. And the cast, you could pretty much put Jeff Goldblum in anything, and I'm going to love it. I loved the movie Powder because Jeff Goldblum was in it. And if you've never heard of that movie, Google it. It's a weird movie, but a good movie because Jeff Goldblum's in it. Anyhow, that one's great, but didn't make the cut. What are people talking about in the chat here? I'm not keeping up very well. Man on Fire. Man on Fire. What movie is that? Man on Fire. Why is that one slipping my memory, Bri? What's Man on Fire? Tell me, what's Man on Fire? That's driving me nuts. I feel like I should know that movie. Oh, 5 Feet Apart. I saw an ad for that. That movie it looks like a good tearjerker. I'd probably like that one. I haven't seen it, but I think that I'm interested in that one. Oh yeah, Star is Born. Star is Born. Yeah. That's a good movie too. Really, really good movie. I remember seeing the original with Chris Christopherson and Barbara Streisand, but I was pretty young, and it was one of those movies that I think my parents were watching on cable, and I walked in the room and was like, "Ew, gross." I don't know. I don't remember much about it, but and actually, that's not the original. That version's not the original. That's a remake too. I think the original came out in like the 50s. Oh, Man on Fire with Denzel. Yep. Okay, I know that movie. Yeah, that's a good movie. Um, yeah. What's a Denzel movie that isn't good? Seriously, Denzel is like the Sean Connery of action films. Like seriously, I can't think of a single movie that Denzel's ever been in that's not good. Huh. Yeah, I remember that movie, Man on Fire. There's also the movie he's in called Deja Vu. That's another really good movie. That's a little science fictiony. Um, hmm. I got another one for y'all that didn't make the cut to the top 5, but it's in the top 10. Coming in at number 8, Dances with Wolves. Love this movie. Um, Kevin Costner. It starred Kevin Costner, and I think he directed it. Um, it's a really great movie. I've seen it so many times, and when it came out in the movie theaters, I was actually a projectionist at the old Aurora Village cinemas. So I'm not lying to you when I've probably seen this movie 100 times. Um, Dance with the Wolves. Jamani Tatanka Owachi. Yeah, such a great movie. Uh, Gosh, it's just such a good movie. What is my wife saying? Die Hard. Yeah. Ooh, not gonna lie. That's especially us '80s brats. That's yeah, yeah. Gosh, maybe we got to do our top 15 favorite movies of all time. That's another classic, man. Oh yeah. I don't know if I'm spelling this one right. Uh, I don't really think it matters because you know what I'm talking about. Uh, Coming in at number 7. Shut up. You had me at hello. That's all I gotta say. Jerry Maguire. Show me the money! Yeah. Give me some Cuba. Some Cuba Gooding Jr., some Tom Cruise. Little bit of football in that movie. Little rom-com in that movie. Some drama. Man, what a balanced movie that is. Um, didn't need to be rated R. They could have taken the rated R stuff out of that and kept it PG-13 in my opinion. The little boy in that movie is adorable. But man, that's another great movie. Again, boyfriends, husbands. You want a good date night movie? Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire. That's where it is. What else we got? What are people talking about in the chat? Yeah, mommy, I think you're right. The Lady Gaga version is probably the 4th remake. Yeah, I think you're right. Um, there's been a lot of versions of that movie, and you know where you can find the answer to that is IMDb. Um, I know that there's at least 3 versions of Star is Born, and the Chris Christopherson Barbra Streisand is not the original. Um, Anyhow, what else we got here? So many awful quotes from Die Hard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could think of a few. Ooh, Hoosiers. My girl is slapping me upside the head with some good filmography here. Man, Hoosiers. Yeah. Give me some Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, Barbara Hershey, Indiana Hoosier basketball. Yeah, that's definitely from out of left field. The football guy loving on a basketball movie. That's from out of left field for sure. With a baseball reference on top of that. Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's such a good movie. Oh man, that's such a good movie. We gonna run the picket fence. Now don't get caught watching the paint dry. Little Dennis Hopper for you. Yeah, that's a great movie. All right, let me give you my number 6 movie. My number 6 movie. Harry Potter 6. The Half-Blood Prince. That is my favorite of the entire Harry Potter franchise. My least favorite's number 4. But number 6 is my favorite, Half-Blood Prince. Not because, I mean, some will be like, oh my gosh, the 8th movie when the whole story ends. I mean, that's where it's at. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful movie. Beautiful movie, don't get me wrong. Number 6 is my favorite, and I'm going to tell you why. Just like Empire Strikes Back, Harry Potter 6 is dark. And things start to change at Hogwarts. And the kids really grow up. And besides all of that, you finally get to know the backstory of Voldemort. You get to find out who he was, how he became Voldemort, and it sets the stage for 7 parts 1 and 2. There is no 7th book. There is no 7th point. There is no 7 part 1 part 2 movies without the awesomeness that is Harry Potter 6. Phenomenal. The whole Harry Potter franchise is phenomenal except for the 4th movie. If we could just remake the 4th movie so that it's like the book, then I'll be thrilled. Anyhow, Half-Blood Prince, phenomenal movie. Phenomenal movie. All right. What else we got? May, you've never seen the Harry Potter movies. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that. They're not for everybody. Um, I for one tend to shy away from movies that are adapted from books. Um, there's some exceptions, like I mentioned Lord of the Rings earlier. You know, that was one of those books that if somebody could visually adapt those books, that would be phenomenal to watch. And Harry Potter was kind of the same for me. Um, the Harry Potter live Seattle Symphony. You know what? I have not been to that. I've been to the Star Wars one though. Um, yeah, my wife took me on a date several years ago to the Star Wars one. That was just phenomenal. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's like being in the movie. Ooh, Stand By Me. Sweetheart, you're killing me with these phenomenal movie selections. Oh my goodness. Stand By, man, you're making my list look pathetic. I'm just saying, oh my goodness. Nothing like live symphony music in Harry Potter. Yep. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one, Molly. I'm gonna have to go check that out. The Harry Potter one. I have not seen it. Well, I won't be checking it out for a while for obvious reasons. But when we're allowed to go see those things, I will definitely go check that out. Now, before we end the stream, I want to do something a little fun. I want to tell you what my least favorite movies of all time are. This is going to be fun, and they're gonna be ranked just like my favorites were. And I know that I said that movie packages cannot count as one movie, but I'm throwing that rule out the window because the bottom line is that every single one of these movies is garbage. All the Twilight movies. I am embarrassed to say that I have watched them all. I have daughters, and so they were great daddy-daughter dates, I'm not going to lie. We have done, I'm embarrassed to say it, but we've done a marathon and watched them all. It's kind of like a really bad car wreck that you just can't help, you can't turn your eyes away. The story is garbage. The acting is terrible. The special effects are, I could have probably done a better job. So the obvious question is, what was it that drew you to those movies in the first place? Well, like I said, I got daughters, and full transparency, I like vampire stories. Yeah. Yes, Molly, that is daddy love for sure. Ooh, Michelle, Castaway, yes. Ooh, Castaway, another Tom Hanks. Yeah, especially when you read the backstory of what he personally put himself through to film that movie. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's a great movie too. In fact, I will tell you, that is the first movie that I bought on DVD was Castaway. That was the first movie that I bought on DVD was Castaway. That's how much I like that movie. Yeah. So yeah, if you're a fan of the Twilight movies, I'm sorry. This moment wasn't for you. I still got love for you though. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty Woman. That's a classic, for sure. Yeah, May, like you said, they are the worst, but you can't stop watching it. It's totally true. All right, so my number 4 least favorite movie of all time. Are you ready for this? Gone with the Wind. Now, I will tell you, there are two reasons why I saw this movie. First of all, let me tell you, I never saw this movie until after my wife and I were married. And it was one of those moments where I was trying to be a good husband. And my wife said, "You really should watch this movie. You'll love it." So that's the first of two reasons why I watched this movie. The second reason why I watched it was because they compared it to Titanic. Now, I love the Titanic movie. Yes, this is my feminine side coming out right now. I love Titanic. Love Titanic. So when they said, Gone with the Wind is epic, like Titanic is epic. And then my wife said, "You should watch this movie. I think you'll really love it." Okay. That movie is 87 hours long, and I sat through that whole entire thing for it to just be over. No, it doesn't resolve. The story doesn't resolve. They could have written that movie and had it last 15 minutes and be done. The only thing that people remember from that movie is what Michelle just typed in the chat. That line. That's the only... Tell me in the chat. Is there anything else from that movie that you remember besides that one line? I will be absolutely shocked if any of you can tell me something that you distinctly remember from Gone with the Wind other than, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a family show." Yeah. So yeah, Gone with the Wind. Number 4, least favorite movie of all time. What do we got here? Molly, that's so funny. How far away from Twilight they were. You know. Oh gosh, Andrea, her dress. Yeah, okay. I'm talking about the movie. I love you. That's so great. You just stir in the pot. Stir in the pot. You know what's interesting, Molly, is that Twilight wasn't even filmed in Forks. It was filmed. Actually, it was filmed on the Oregon coast, if I remember correctly. But that's really funny. I've actually had people in the past say, "Oh, do you know where that Twilight place is?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but it wasn't really filmed there. All right, so I'm gonna give you my number 3 least favorite movie of all time. Howard the Duck. What a cinematic monstrosity. What in the world was Steven Spielberg thinking? Now, for those of you who do not know what I am referring to, if you have seen the Marvel movies, you know how they have these post-credit scenes and cut scenes at the end of the movies, all the Marvel movies. And I believe it's at the end of one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. There is a scene with a duck sipping a martini, and I forget what his line is. And then at the beginning of another one of the Marvel movies, they show that same duck having a conversation with a woman. That's Howard the Duck. I don't know why. It's a terrible movie. Howard the Duck is a terrible movie, and I know my wife absolutely hates that movie too. Not the least of which is that it stars one of her least favorite actresses in the whole entire world. And I'm not gonna steal her thunder and divulge that information to you. If she wants to type in the chat, she can. But oh my goodness, I don't even think you can rent this movie. I don't even think you can find it anywhere. I don't even think you can find it on YouTube. And I'm not encouraging you to go look this up. It is a terrible movie. Terrible movie. I think that the idea behind it was a great idea, but the movie itself, oh my goodness. Seriously, Michelle, a friend of yours says that he lost 2 hours of his life watching Forrest Gump. That's one of Andrea's favorites, and I absolutely adore that movie. We talked about this earlier. One of Tom Hanks's best pieces of work, in my opinion. And that's up there. I mean, that's competing with Saving Private Ryan. That's competing with Castaway. Yeah, that's a great movie. Lost 2 hours of your life watching Forrest Gump? Really? Where does that person spend their nights? Anyhow, moving along. I will share with you what my number 2 least favorite movie of all time is. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have never seen this movie, but they've seen the attraction at Universal Studios, Waterworld. What a piece of garbage. And, you know, to be fair, there's a lot of reasons why this movie was so bad. Besides the acting, even though it had a great cast. I mean, it had Kevin Costner. It had Dennis Hopper. I can't remember the lead actress's name. The concept was great. You could describe it as Road Warrior on the water. So already I'm drawn into the movie because I liked Road Warrior. The Mad Max franchise. But this movie was terrible. Oh my goodness. And it had all sorts of problems. The original director quit like before they were done filming, and then Costner had to take over, and the technology didn't exist back then to successfully film on the open water. It just was such a catastrophe from the beginning. But the attraction at Universal Studios, an amazing show, not gonna lie. But yeah, this movie just all around was just a terrible piece of work. Terrible piece of work. What are some other movies that people don't really care for? Oh, all right. You told him, Andrea. You don't really care for the actress Leah Thompson. There it is. Probably one of the reasons why Back to the Future isn't one of her favorite movies, because she's in those movies too. I'm just saying. All right. I'll tell you what my least favorite movie of all time is. And if any of you have heard of this movie, I want you to tell me, okay? Because this is not a popular movie. I want to say that it came out in probably like 83-ish. But it is terrible. It is a terrible movie. Time Bandits. Now, let me know right now in the chat, have any of you ever heard of this movie? And if you have you seen it? I'll wait. Yep, nobody. So this movie is garbage. Molly, you get it. Oh my gosh, that makes me feel old. Oh, this was one of those movies that was popular on Showtime. It's probably where it got the most views. Was on Showtime. It is such a terrible movie. I wonder if I went back and watched it now if I might like it, but I doubt it. But it's just so terrible. And Sean Connery's in it too. He's one of the actors in it. There's another famous British actor that's in. There's a couple of famous British actors that are in this movie. It is so terrible. I'm not even gonna unveil what all takes place in this movie, but There's probably a whole lot of political incorrectness in that movie too. It's just an old garbage movie. Um, Anyhow, so those are my least favorite movies of all time. Uh, so yeah, for those of you who missed it, my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Number 5 was Rudy. Number 4 was The Matrix. Number 3 was Lucas. Number 2 was JFK. And number 1 was Peter Pan, both the animated and the real life versions. So yeah, that was my top 5 movies. So, I think I'm going to wrap things up. Want to thank all of you for coming out with me on a Friday night and hanging out. I just I love doing this. I love connecting with you guys through this tool. You can see up there at the top of the screen. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. At some point, I'm going to move my live stream to YouTube. Michelle, I saw Peter Pan at the Paramount when I was a kid. The technology's better now, so it's probably even better today, live on stage. But I did see it when I was a kid, and it was at the Paramount, and that was pretty great. So a little channel business, like I was saying. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You see that up there at the top of the screen. Go on to YouTube. Look up The Theological Coordinator. You'll see me in a suit and tie. Click on that. Go on the channel. Thank you, baby, for posting the link there. These streams, after they're done, I actually post them there so that y'all can watch them at a later time. But eventually, I want to move the stream to YouTube. It's just functionally, it's easier for me. It also it allows opportunity for more than just my Facebook friends to be able to participate in the live stream. So yeah, be sure and do that. And then also, you can see it all over the screen throughout the stream. Follow me on Twitter. If you do not have Twitter, it's the 21st century. Everyone should have a Twitter account. It's, of all the social media stuff out there, it's the best one in my opinion. It's safe, it's easy, it's the best way to follow your favorite people, like, you know, what's going on with them in their lives and what they're up to. So follow me on Twitter at Theo Coordinator. That is the best way to follow what's going on with me. I think it's also the best way to get in touch with me. So follow me on Twitter at Theo Coordinator, and then direct message me on Twitter things that you would like to talk about on the stream. I'm in the process of developing a regular schedule. We're doing the Left Field Fridays. We're doing the Meltdown Mondays. And there's going to be one more stream in the middle of the week, probably on Thursdays. I haven't decided yet, but that's where there's going to be at least one, if not two more. We're going to have a night where we talk about theological things. And I also want to have an opportunity to have another night where we talk about tough stuff. So that's stuff that's up and coming. But I enjoy these times with you guys. This is a lot of fun, and I'm so humbled that you take time out of your busy lives and spend it with me and chit-chatting and sharing your lives with me. It's so much fun. So look forward to info about this coming Monday. We'll be doing Meltdown Monday again, where we talk about what's bugging you and then spin it in a positive way. So that'll be pretty fun. But yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter. Other than that, thanks again for joining me tonight, everybody. And have a good night.